Recently, Onus, a cryptocurrency exchange created by a Vietnamese team, suddenly became inaccessible. This has left millions of users in Vietnam confused and worried because they cannot access their assets. Up to this moment, there has still been no official information from the exchange. The possibility of users losing their funds entirely cannot be ruled out. Hopefully, this is only a temporary issue, and everything will eventually return to normal. But after seeing this situation, I started thinking about an important truth. When you buy Bitcoin on an exchange such as Binance, BingX, OKX, or similar platforms, you see a balance showing Bitcoin in your account and assume that you already own Bitcoin. But that is not entirely true. What you actually bought is just a number displayed on a screen. It is a number the exchange records to say that you own a certain amount of Bitcoin. It is only a record. There has not yet been an actual transaction transferring Bitcoin to a wallet that you personally control. In other words, you have not truly received the Bitcoin yet. And this type of Bitcoin is often called paper Bitcoin. A simple way to understand it is this. Paper Bitcoin is like paying money to buy a bar of gold, but instead of taking the gold home, the shop gives you a piece of paper that says, "You own 1 bar of gold stored at this shop. Whenever you want the gold, bring this paper back to claim it." You take that piece of paper home. So do you truly have the gold? Not necessarily. What you are holding is not the gold itself. It is simply a promise from the gold shop that one day you can exchange that piece of paper for real gold. Paper Bitcoin works exactly the same way. Even though your account still shows a Bitcoin balance, if you do not hold the private key yourself, what you have is only a claim to Bitcoin, not actual control over Bitcoin. In this market, many investment forms related to Bitcoin are actually just different versions of paper Bitcoin. For example, when you buy real Bitcoin through peer-to-peer trading or spot trading, you pay money and purchase an actual amount of Bitcoin. After buying, you can still withdraw that Bitcoin to your own wallet if the exchange is operating normally. This makes it less paper-based than some other forms. However, as long as you have not withdrawn it, the exchange is still holding it on your behalf. At that moment, it is still paper Bitcoin. Only when you withdraw it to your own wallet and fully control the recovery phrase and private keys do you truly own the Bitcoin. Another clearer example is futures, options, and other derivative products. In these cases, you are mainly trading based on whether the price of Bitcoin goes up or down in order to make a profit. You never actually receive real Bitcoin in a wallet, and you cannot withdraw Bitcoin to your own wallet. In the end, what you receive is simply profit or loss calculated in stablecoins like Tether, in United States dollars, or in another pricing currency. This type is always paper Bitcoin. There are also Bitcoin exchange-traded funds. In this case, you do not buy Bitcoin directly. Instead, you buy fund shares that track the price of Bitcoin. When the price of Bitcoin rises or falls, the value of the fund also rises or falls. You are investing based on Bitcoin's price movement, but what you hold is a fund certificate, not Bitcoin sitting in a wallet that you control. That is also paper Bitcoin. Then there are stocks of companies that hold large amounts of Bitcoin or wrapped Bitcoin used in decentralized finance systems. Those are also forms of paper Bitcoin. In general, whenever there is an intermediary standing between you and the real Bitcoin, some level of paper Bitcoin is involved. And as long as it is still paper Bitcoin, the major risk still exists. Because at that point, you are essentially trusting another party to hold your assets on your behalf. Under normal conditions, this does not seem like a problem. The system keeps running. Your account shows your balance, deposits and withdrawals work smoothly, and it is easy to feel like you are fully in control of your assets. But have you ever considered what happens if the exchange behaves irresponsibly, misuses customer assets, runs away with the money, gets hacked, gets frozen by authorities, or simply no longer has the ability to return users' funds? At that point, you might suddenly find yourself unable to log into the exchange or withdraw your money. Only then do you realize that what you had was not real Bitcoin under your control. Many times it was only a claim to Bitcoin, and whether you can successfully claim it becomes another question entirely. It is exactly like the gold example earlier. If the gold shop continues to operate normally and still has the gold, then the piece of paper you hold is not a problem. But if one day the shop owner behaves dishonestly, runs away with the gold, loses the gold to a robbery, or simply cannot return the gold anymore, then that piece of paper suddenly becomes almost meaningless. Paper Bitcoin works the same way. And this is not just a theoretical concern. The history of cryptocurrency has already seen many painful lessons. From the collapse of exchanges like Mt. Gox, BTCE, and FTX, to the recent worries surrounding Onus. Each exchange collapsed for different reasons, but the common result was the same. Users suddenly could not log in, could not withdraw funds, and lost control over their assets. That is the biggest risk of paper Bitcoin. So if you are buying Bitcoin with the intention of holding it long term, you should seriously think about turning paper Bitcoin into real Bitcoin. How can you do that? The simplest way is this. After buying Bitcoin, transfer it to your own wallet, especially a hardware wallet. When you hold the private keys yourself and fully control your assets, only then does the Bitcoin truly belong to you. For those who mainly trade short term, frequently buying and selling, entering and exiting positions often, or using products like futures, exchange-traded funds, or other instruments that follow Bitcoin's price, paper Bitcoin is almost unavoidable. But if you choose that path, you should clearly understand what you are trading in exchange. You should prioritize large and reputable exchanges, enable all security layers such as strong passwords, two-factor authentication, and anti-phishing protections. Most importantly, you should not keep all of your assets in one place. Keep only the amount needed for trading on the exchange, and move the long-term holdings to a separate wallet that you manage yourself. When it comes to storing Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, there are currently many types of wallets available. For example, software wallets on phones or computers such as Trust Wallet, MetaMask, and many other wallet applications. These are convenient, easy to use, and suitable for many beginners. An even safer option is a hardware wallet. For example, the Ledger Nano X that I am using. This type of wallet is specifically designed to store private keys in an offline environment, so in terms of security, it provides much greater peace of mind compared to leaving assets on an exchange or keeping them entirely in an online environment where they could be hacked. If anyone is interested in buying a Ledger Nano X like the one I am using, or other Ledger wallet models, I have placed the official purchase link from the manufacturer in the video description below. Feel free to check it out. However, using your own wallet also comes with a very big responsibility. You must personally manage and protect the security of your assets. If you expose your recovery phrase, lose your device without having a backup, or lose important information related to your wallet, there is almost no one who can help you recover your assets. In that situation, the assets are essentially lost forever. For example, if your assets are on an exchange and you forget your password, you can usually contact the exchange's support team to recover your account. But with a personal wallet, that option does not exist. In other words, holding your own Bitcoin gives you greater control and security, but it also requires you to take security much more seriously. In summary, I made this video so that everyone can clearly understand one important thing. Investing in Bitcoin is not just about choosing the right coin. It is also about knowing where your assets are being stored. Leaving all your assets on an exchange may be convenient, but it also comes with significant risks. Hopefully, after watching this video, everyone will be more cautious, more proactive, and find safer ways to store their assets. I wish all of you smart and successful investing.